You see, Mr. Jha, what you're doing? Our guest from America is watching and listening to this today. And you know what Ray Locker is thinking? Ray Locker is thinking, if I can think on his behalf, unless he contradicts me, Ray Locker is thinking that, look here, we were only trying to serve our own interests. George Bush was president. We tried to make the Muslim world happy.
Correct.
We were completely practical. No. We were completely practical.
No, I don't think
in our approach towards achieving our interests. But we did not think that the polity of India, we did not think, Sanjay Jha, that the polity of India is so divided, that the politicians of India are so selfish, that they are willing to denigrate the nation if required. Denigrate the nation 1,000 times over.
Can I come in here?
1,000 times over in order to have a narrow political fight. Pavan Verma coming into the debate. Pavan Verma's turn. Pavan Verma's turn now, please. Pavan Verma, I'll come back to you.
Just 2 quick points.
Pavan Verma.
I agree with you, Arnab.
Pavan Verma, after that, Sanjay. Pavan Verma.
Arnab, you mentioned a very important point about a colonial mindset. I say to you, 1984 was horrific, 2002 was horrific, fighting one against the other for partisan ends serves no purpose. These are our internal demons and we will fight them democratically.
And you don't fight both of them for your purpose,
not relevant.
Verma.
It is not relevant. Arnab, I did not interrupt others. Please let me speak.
No, that's Devang Nanavati.
America has, as part of its self-interest, supported rank dictatorships. In Chile, it has supported apartheid. It has pursued its own foreign policy and national self-interest. India, as the world's largest democracy, is not dependent on either certificates or proscriptions. We did debate internally through the democratic process. So I do not set store.
Sir,
and I do not believe we should resort to either euphoria or gloating or condemnation.
But there was gloating.
America does or does not do.
There was gloating. I would not be, Mr. Verma, I would not be debating this if there was no gloating. There was gloating. There was celebration.
It was wrong.
There was gloating. There was duplicity.
It was wrong.
Arnab.
And that was a sellout.
I want to ask a question to Mr. Verma to you.
Problems internally.
His party is the most hypocritical. When it became clear that Mr. Nitish Kumar would not become a prime ministerial candidate of the NDA, that is when they switched sides. Mr. Verma's party is the most hypocritical. They have used both the 82 and 2002 riots to get political advantage when they
in the case of Devyani Khobragade.
Mindsets and hypocrisy in politics. Bihar has seen some of the worst riots.
Uninformed,
Arnab, I have been trying to get your attention for quite some time now.
I am coming to Hardeep Puri. In the case of Devyani Khobragade, right, Salman Khurshid said, and I quote, it is no longer the issue of an individual, but rather the sovereignty of a nation which is involved. Now, my question is this. If that was the argument for Devyani Khobragade, how come sovereignty of the nation is not involved in the case of Narendra Modi? Partisan interest comes in there. If Devyani Khobragade had been a BJP leader, the government would have reacted differently. Does the US discriminate between Republican and Democrats on the basis of who is in power and who is not? I mean, that is where the bipartisan spirit has to come, and the fact is that we don't have it. Our first caller right now,
absolutely,
and I promise to take 10 from Ahmedabad this evening, is Mr. Mankad. Mr. Mankad, good evening. And what's the point you're making? Do you have a question for someone?
Yeah. Good evening, Arnab, and thank you very much to give me this opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you. Good talking to you.
Couple of things. I endorse fully the views of Mr. Singh and Mr. Devang Nanavati in today's debate. At the meeting with the US envoy, if Mr. Modi is to discuss only stronger Indo-US relationship, it only shows the political maturity of the BJP. Now, so far as his visas to entry in US is concerned, it will have to be automatically given. It's a matter of time, couple of months ahead. And US will have to definitely put a red carpet for Mr. Modi, since he has proved the greatest leader India would have ever seen after the independent India.
Okay, Mr. Mankad, thanks very much. We're going to take a caller number 2. Hear the voices tonight. Sri Hari is calling from Bengaluru. Sri Hari, good evening.
Good evening, Arnab.
Good evening.
I have certain points to make. Whether US likes it or not, they have to make business with Narendra Modi.
Absolutely.
They are good business people who have to deal with a shrewd businessman in India.
I agree with you.
When Iran war was waged, Uncle Sam said, we are waging the war to spread the gospel of Jesus. Are they not communal enough, sir?
Good point, Sri Hari. Let's take, okay, we're going to take a couple of callers. No. My point is this. Madhukar Jaitley and Sanjay Jha, my question is to both of you. You know, on the one side, the Prime Minister in 2005 says this is a matter of principle. America should not do this. We should not deny a visa to a constitutional authority in India. On the other hand, today your Foreign Minister, you know, tries to use the angle of the Holocaust to bitterly complain about the American ambassador meeting Narendra Modi. Who are we to believe? The Prime Minister of India or the Foreign Minister of India? Who represents the voice of India?
Mr. Khurshid was not blaming anybody.
Of course he was.
I don't think you heard Mr.
He was
Khurshid.
bitterly complaining. You didn't hear him?
1 minute. Where did he complain?
1 second.
He said,
Oh, man.
he said as a
Sunil
matter
Alagh.
of protocol,
No.
a meeting between the US ambassador
He
and
was-
the Prime Minister.
No. Did you have not heard what he
It's a
said?
normal part of the course.
Oh, no,
1
no,
minute.
you didn't hear him.
When
I
a
did.
head of state, Arnab, when a
not
head
at
of
all.
state comes to India, they also meet the opposition leaders from different political parties. It is part of the process.
No.
I think the
No,
BJP
no.
obviously is in a propaganda
But what-
overdrive.
No,
Yes,
Sunil
that's
Alagh.
to
What
create some
Sunil Alagh
legitimacy. And that's the only desperate.
Sunil Alagh.
I think what
Salman
you are
Khurshid
hearing
Sunil Alagh
is a
clearly
desperate
short answer,
political
Sunil
party
Alagh.
If America,
seeking some
Sunil
level of
Alagh,
legitimacy
1 second.
for a
Salman
man
Khurshid,
who has
1
violated the
second,
serious level of
Salman
human
Khurshid
rights
said
and
very
allowed
clearly
deaths to
today,
happen in his
he
own
said,
state.
look, if America hasn't forgotten the Holocaust and they still treat anybody who is associated with Nazis and they do not allow them in America, how on earth are they forgetting the Holocaust of 2002 and wanting to talk to Modi? You are denigrating every single position in India. You are losing self. I make that same point. Please, for God's sake, he could be the Prime Minister. He
Well,
is
let me
the
tell
Chief
you,
Minister.
it is
As
Mr.
your Prime
Khurshid,
Minister, the Congress
it
Prime
is
Minister,
Mr.
stop meeting
Khurshid
him.
who
How
took
could
a
you?
stand
How could you
on the
associate this?
Devyani Khobragade
Come on,
issue.
yeah, please.
1 minute.
No,
1 minute.
yeah.
I don't know who's
And we were
speaking
proud
there.
of the
I
fact
don't know
that
who
you
was
stood up
speaking
for an
that
Indian.
But it is
Full
Mr. Salman
stop.
Khurshid.
You look
who took
unnerved.
a stance on the
You look
Devyani Khobragade
unnerved today.
issue.
Why,
So please,
Sanjay
your
Jha?
facts right.
Regardless of what
Why,
he said
Sanjay,
before.
do you look so unnerved tonight?
I am not.
It is almost
Well,
as
I'm
if you put
smiling.
all your eggs in one
Can
basket.
you see me smiling?
Please
It is
quote-
almost as if this is you're trying to smile,
Mr.
and I
Goswami,
must
can you see
say
me smiling?
you are trying to smile.
I have a feeling that Mr. Modi is going to get a sleepless night tonight because of the simple reason that the horrors of
Really?
Gujarat are something that will never leave him for the rest of his life, and
No,
he knows that. Because this is not just a matter of a legal justice; it's also a moral obligation of having failed to deliver
Hardeep
for his
Puri.
own people.
No, you see what happens. First it's the UK.
You know,
Then it's the
Arnab, I've
EU,
been
and
trying
now
to
it's America.
come
Yes,
into this
Hardeep.
discussion for the last half an hour.
Yeah.
The issue here, apart from the need to compile a list of Mr. Salman Khurshid's utterances on different parts of foreign policy, on China where he wanted to settle down, on the incursion in the Dipsang
Keep
Valley
focus,
in
keep the
Ladakh,
focus,
which he
Mr.
found to
Puri.
be a pimple on a beautiful skin, today's recollection of the Holocaust. The issue here is completely different. We are discussing United States policy vis-a-vis Mr. Modi. The fact of the matter is the US ambassador has sought a meeting on the Chief Minister of Gujarat, who is the BJP's prime ministerial candidate. Now we have witnessed again over the last several months and again today that the Congress party, which was gloating over a so-called certification from outside, it finds its policy completely unraveling. Now the issue here is not what happened in 2002 to bring in other issues. Please, do you at some stage want closure or not? You can go on maligning somebody, you can go on trying to fabricate evidence and continue with your litany of lies. But the issue is that this is, I agree with Pavan, an internal matter for us in India. It is something which the electorate has pronounced on Christ, and it is an electorate which will pronounce on this in the general election in 2014. And you never know. You never know as to how you can deal with this situation after that.
Well, did you ask the people of who died in 1984 and their families whether they could move on when you were trying to, in an underhand way, give Jagdish Leitler a ticket?
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Closure is difficult.
Did you ask the people?
Is difficult.
Did you ask the people? Did you ask the people who died in the 1984 riots?
I agree with you.
Please move on. We want to give Jagdish Titler a ticket. He's important to us. Did you ask them? We want to make him in charge of Orissa. We don't care what you think or feel. Move on. Did you say move on? And my question, I want to go to Madhukar Jaitley before I go into the break, is simply this. Madhukar Jaitley, consider what you have been doing. Why Mr. Jaitley? In the India of 2013 or 14, do you look upon an American visa as an endorsement? Why?
No, you are
Why?
misunderstanding the
That's for
situation.
Mr. Modi to
what
think
I am
of.
trying to say
He
is,
is the one who is
Arnab,
desperately seeking
does
it.
anybody on the panel have the agenda of the meeting of the US ambassador with the particular chief minister? The US ambassador was in Lucknow in August 2012,
See, even
and the UP chief minister was on a dinner meeting with her. It is business as usual.
So you are again
it is not a big deal for any chief minister.
By saying so,
you are misunderstanding.
you are again. No, it's like, I'm sorry.
Nobody. I am not a member of your dream team.
This is an independent country. Who is an American ambassador?
I am not speculating.
You have made a meeting. No, I'm sorry, Mr. Jaitley. You seem to be suffering from a strange colonial kind of hangover, where the American ambassador is the equivalent of a modern day viceroy.
They wanted to. There was a delegation. Arnab, let me complete. There was a delegation of 40 American companies trying to do business with UP government, and
why don't you tell them? Why don't you tell them? Why don't you ask them one question?
Why don't you tell that
Okay,
to
2
Mr.
minutes. Why?
Khurshid and Mr. Tiwari then?
No.
It was no.
No, why don't you ask them? Listen to me, Mr. Jaitley. Why don't you ask them? Why don't you ask the American envoy and all the American businessmen that, look here, why do you want to do business with us? Don't you know that we are responsible for Muzaffarnagar? Muzaffarnagar was burning when we were in power. Please hold us by the same rules that you hold for Narendra Modi and refuse to do any business.
Do you have the agenda of the meeting with the American ambassador? Do you have the agenda? Do you have the agenda? How are you jumping to the conclusion that it is going to be held with regard to giving a clean sheet to Mr. X?
If you don't have the agenda, why is Mr. Khurshid and Mr. Tiwari?
You must ask a question from Mr. Khurshid, not from me.
I'm
not there to answer on behalf of Mr.
today, which I found extremely interesting, that he talked about his democratic entitlement.
Pavan Verma
He seems to find democratic entitlement not within India, but his democratic entitlement to seek certification from outside the country. I mean, this is getting more and more absurd by the day.
When I come back, gentlemen, I have to take a break. But I'm going to, after the break, Mr. Verma, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to extend this by 10 minutes. A lot of people, I want to hear their voices also on the call. My question will be, I'm sorry to be direct, who on earth is the American envoy? And is the BJP getting too excited about the possibility of such a meeting? I mean, it's an American envoy. Even Lord Mountbatten must not have been treated with so much importance when he was around.
Absolutely.
Back in a couple of minutes. But you're the ones giving importance. Back in a couple of minutes.